everybody, my name is Phillip Hernandez. I'm VP Operations here at Geekdom. And today we're going to be talking about collaborative co-working reimagined. So a big part of what we do here at Geekdom is having a physical space where we can create an environment that fosters collaboration with member collisions happening often. That's really where the magic happens here at Geekdom. So today I'm here with my friend, Zach. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Zach Fullen. I am a sales executive and project consultant for Very here in San Antonio. We have actually just opened an office here soon, and so really looking forward to getting plugged into the startup community, and just glad to be here.
Awesome, thank you, Zach. So I want to talk about collaborative co-working first. So like I said, it's really important that we get people together so that those ideas can turn into bigger things, and then our ultimate mission is to build San Antonio one startup at a time. So when everything kind of started happening with the pandemic and how it affected everything, Q2 of this year, Geekdom shut its doors for the first time ever. It's an unprecedented time. We've never had to do that before, and we obviously had to make a huge shift in how we operate. So one of the things that we knew we had to get back to as soon as possible is getting those member collisions back. And the way that we do that is in a physical way. We also knew that we had to have that shift into a virtual environment as well. One of the things that was most important to us is our members and our staff and the safety of our community. And so the first thing that we did was we took a thoughtful approach to how do we redesign the way that our space works? How do we redesign the flow? How do we reimagine the way that people are going to get together and collaborate? So we put a lot of thought and effort into our new policies and procedures that I'm sure everybody's aware of. The things that everybody's doing, the temperature checks, the health questionnaires, wearing masks, sanitizing your area before and after you work there. But also, we had to do some other things because a big piece of what we do is just an open environment. So we took a look at our desks and just how we have the space laid out, and we actually took an innovative approach to the way that we put our desks in these kind of Z formations. And then we also did some other things too, like we made all of our spaces where you can come in and sit down and work at Geekdom, we made all of those things bookable. So desks, bookable. Conference rooms, bookable. If we have an office where we didn't have somebody in there for that time, we made that office bookable. The whole idea was to get people back to normalcy. One of the first things that we realized, though, is by doing that, we didn't want to put people at risk. We didn't want to have exposure that was unnecessary. So we took an innovative approach to suppress the spread of COVID. And the way that we did that was by doing what we call assurance testing. So we actually were one of the first places in the United States, it's a private entity, to set up sample collection so that we can have PCR testing happen here at Geekdom. So what we did was we partnered with a lab that was local, and we piloted a program where we tested all of our members that were coming in to work at Geekdom. So we tested them frequently and consistently. And the whole idea was you come in, you get a test every 7 days, and if you're negative, then you can come into work. And by doing that, we have this micro-population that we can control, and we make a safety zone. So if you're coming into work, you have a negative test, you know the person that's next to you, you know the person across from you, the person that's also sharing this space with you and sharing this air and sharing this collaborative energy also has negative tests as well. That instilled confidence, that brought more people into our space, and now everybody is able to work safely, and we're starting to see those member collisions happen again, and we're still seeing that inspiring work come out of the innovation hub of San Antonio. So with all of that, I do want to hand it over to Zach. And Zach, if you could just tell us a little bit about what Very does and the way that y'all are positioning yourselves to be productive in an environment like this.
Sure. So Very really is focused on creating workspaces that elevate people. And we're doing that through flexible workspace, and of course we're innovating all the time around product and service and all of that, but it really boils down to a flexible workspace. And what that started as was a flexible workspace that potentially could work with a startup, it could work with even sometimes government entities, different types of businesses where the business would ebb and flow and the needs change. What we didn't know is what we would face this year. And so obviously through everything that happened, we went from potentially needing to work from home for a few weeks to a more permanent situation, what everybody called the new normal, and then a lot are even coining as the for now normal. And so that allowed us to be able to kind of flex and move through that, and we've since been able to help our clients do the same thing. And that really boils down to everything from workstations to walls. We've come out with plexiglass panels and a lot of things in response to COVID itself, but all at that root of just workspaces that elevate people. And so obviously we want to keep people safe, but one thing I love that you said was how you were taking measures that gave people confidence to come back into the space. So there's obviously ways that we can work safely, but especially I think that it was a little weird for people to jump back into the office right away. And within just a few weeks, we were able to actually return our folks into the office. And of course, there were safety measures being taken, but especially a lot of things that just made people feel better, because you can't work and function if you're nervous, and everybody had different feelings about coming back. So everything from signage to temperature checks to obviously workspace distancing really gave everybody kind of that confidence to be able to settle back in. And it was a little bit different, obviously, but to get back face to face and get back to work together. So
yeah, no, for sure. So I got to say, from personal experience, being somebody who's operations focused, it was my sole focus since March to reopen and get people back into our space, get the for now normal back into people's daily lives. And so in doing that, with that being my focus, I feel like I'm flooded with all these precautions, and if something is safe, I'm constantly second guessing myself. And I did have the opportunity to go and visit the headquarters over at Very. I will say that even with all of those preconceived notions and fears and that anxiety, even driving up there. So for those of you that don't know, it's in Dallas, and we drove up there from San Antonio. And even driving up there, I rode up there with our CEO, Charles, and we were talking about it. Like, the precautions and things that we've taken at Geekdom, we feel like are borderline extreme. Like we try and think of everything. If the standard is to stay quarantined for 10 days, we add the additional 4. We have the health questionnaire and the temp check. We've been doing this stuff since the beginning. So I gotta admit, like when I was driving up and I see all the vehicles outside, it gets me a little nervous knowing that I'm about to walk into this building. But man, when I walked into Very, I was almost in disbelief, because, it was, one, an open environment, which I didn't think that I would see in the near future again. But also, not only an open environment, it was full of people. It was alive, the energy was there. I really felt inspired that people can collaborate. People can work together. They can still have that physical connection that they had and still feel safe. And that was the biggest thing for me, is I had the confidence in walking around that I was in a safe space, I wasn't doing anything reckless, and everything was gonna be okay. And some of the things that I noticed when going in there was y'all's innovative take on these things. So like when I walked in, there was that thermometer and camera system, which was really cool. But also there's a thoughtful approach that y'all have taken with your furniture. And for those of you that don't know about Very Furniture, it is very modular, but also it's you can move all of it around. It fits in different places, and it's just really thoughtful the way that it's all laid out. There was one time when we were in a conference room that you can see through all the walls in the conference room. The walls didn't go all the way up to the ceiling, and we were in the middle of a call center, but we could still hear each other just fine. We couldn't hear the chatter of the things going on out there or anything like that. And I was actually amazed to find out that it doesn't just stop with furniture at Very. Y'all have solutions for the sound, for the lighting, for all of those things. So can you tell me a little bit about the transition that y'all went through at the headquarters? Because I know that place is tons of energy, tons of people walking around and stuff. Did y'all have to make any changes to keep that momentum?
Absolutely. So, we had faced challenges in the past of disruptions to the business from, internet going out based on storms and those type of things. And so we had kind of a backup plan when things like that happen. Of course, we had no idea that something like this could happen or what we were in store for. And so when Dallas County announced the emergency order and everyone went work from home, we were able to actually get furniture to the employees because everything's assembled very simply in a couple minutes or less. And so we actually were able to accommodate every employee's needs from a work from home standpoint. but also we have an in-house design team. So they were able to go back and kind of reassess what was a very dense, collaborative area with really high touch points. So we pride ourselves in just an amazing coffee bar, and you probably saw that coming into the headquarters, but it's this incredible place where you get to have conversations, even sometimes interviews, and you'll pass by our CEO, and obviously we have to adjust those kind of things. And so we were able to kind of break apart some of those spaces, put more space between desks, put more walls in certain areas. We sectioned off areas that were once open. We looked at things like airflow, looked at high touch points like coffee, for instance, and went to single serve canisters instead of what was carafes, things like that. And it was just all the little details that you might not think about at first pass, but our whole design team, along with kind of a emergency response team that we had put together, really thought through all of those details that not only kept folks safe, but we were able to kind of test what's working and be that example for our clients. Because shortly after, we were then getting a lot of questions of how are you doing it, and how does this feel? What are people's responses? And we then started being able to design other folks' space and reconfigure what they currently had. I know part of our conversation was how do we make a space that's able to respond to now and the future. So a lot of changes on that front, but especially even just coming out with new products. We were able to test things within our own space and see how they worked and how we liked them, and then of course introduce them as a resource for others. So we've learned a lot, we're continuing to learn, but it's been amazing to watch that journey take place and to be able to consult our clients and our fans in that way. So
Yeah, no, it was something that was incredible to see. And, when we were there, Naji is who we were working with, and she was kind of explaining to us that y'all do have design folks that are there in-house, and that is something incredible to have, just so then you can just go talk to them and they can iterate there. But what was really cool is I saw some of the teams kind of disassembling, assembling, and I just thought that was so awesome, the way that you can quickly lift and shift, so that way you can have a facility that still fosters that collaboration and openness. So the thing that I left, when I left Very and I came back here, in our circles, the co-working circles, and specifically our differentiator being collaborative co-working place, in those circles there was a lot of chatter about co-working being dead and collaborative co-working being dead. And I just feel the complete opposite. Like, it is very much alive. The energy is there, and I was inspired seeing, there was a time where when I actually came over to Geekdom, it was right after they closed, and I've been a long-time member, so I remember the hustle and bustle, the energy, that you would feed off of when you just come in and walk the floors at Geekdom. And so when I came and that wasn't here anymore, I felt that. Especially seeing San Antonio grow so quickly and all of that energy and momentum just kind of come to a halt. But after going there, after going to Very, after seeing the changes that we put in place and seeing people get more comfortable coming into our space, I just left feeling this energetic, alive feeling that I don't know if it's unique to just our location, but I can say that all the work that we're all putting together, we're all collaborating to have these innovative solutions and bring co-working back to life. So it's really inspiring, and I'm humbled to be on this mission with you. So another thing that we talked about, because when I approached you about doing this with me, I was talking to you about how my concern about how a lot of people share that same feeling that co-working is dead, but I feel like it's alive. And you talked to me a little bit about density and how sometimes these world events can kind of make us do these density shifts. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, I think that obviously unprecedented times like these cause a lot of concern. And, we are in downtown San Antonio right now, and you walk the Riverwalk and you don't get the same feel. It's just so much different. And so everyone's quick to make a statement like co-working is dead, for instance. But if you look back on different events that have happened that have really shaped the way that we all work together, of course it was something that caused us all to pivot, but in that moment, in that pivot, and as startups even do, is it just allowed us to come up with solutions to respond to that, and have since made for a stronger way to work. So if you look at something like 9/11, which is obviously a terrible tragedy, a lot of people said that after that moment that high-rise office buildings were dead. We would never work in a high-rise building because of the security concerns. Obviously that changed for a good while, but as we came back, there was additional security and downtown areas and obviously things like airports, there's heightened sense of security. So we, as a society, had to shift to respond to that. And so we worked differently after that. Of course, in that moment, those things had changed, but you just look at, for instance, buildings in the downtown area, you're gonna have more security in the foyer. You're gonna have heightened security, or a heightened sense of awareness, I should say. Yeah. And so through that, and these different things that have happened that kind of shock us as a country or as a world and the way that we work, we have to pivot. And when we do, a lot of times we come back to an even better situation. And so our CEO, for instance, has kind of gone with the phrase, keep rowing through this, and the wind will catch our sails. And so obviously we have to adjust, and we've really even pivoted to work from home solutions while everyone was at home and trying to figure out how they work from the kitchen counter even. But really, I mean, we're starting to see that wind come back around, and now we all work differently because of this. And it's almost even in a better way. We're more cautious about germs and about personal space even.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And that's something that we've taken into consideration as well, is that through all of this, are there opportunities for us to open our doors and provide solutions for other folks? We talk about density and open and collaborative work environments, and we see a lot of that, especially in tech companies, innovative companies, which are a lot of the ones that we focus on. So I'm hopeful that Geekdom and collaborative co-working spaces in general can kind of fill that need, because I think that we are going to see a shift in density in some of those larger companies. We're going to see a lot more folks that are going to be working from home, and I think that working from home works really well until it doesn't, right? And so there still does need to be that space for collaboration, and it's awesome to know that we can provide a place where people can still do that safely and have the confidence to do so, and to have partners like you who can provide the furniture to allow them to do that in a safe way. Something that I didn't think was going to be possible for a long time was sitting at a regular just round table and just like at a coffee shop or something, and just have other folks around with you. And it wasn't until I was at Very, and I was at the coffee spot that I say little, it's a massive part of the building, but when I was over there, they had those round tables, and I sat down, and they had the plexiglass deals that y'all have that they were saying was like a new thing that y'all are just kind of throwing out there, which is also a great reason to have a design team in-house. But that was such a great feeling, because this is a new normal, and masks are something new that has been acceptable, and we've started to communicate more with our eyes. And and so having that plexiglass in between us, it was something that it wasn't too much of a barrier, and we could still have that comfortable conversation without that anxiety. So it's really awesome. Thank you for sharing all those stories. So one of the last things I do want to talk about is, with the things that y'all are doing, the innovative solutions that you're putting out there, and the things that we're doing over at Geekdom, how we're still trying to create that environment, still have those member collisions, and we want more of them. We want our members to come back, but we want them to feel safe about that and be confident about that. I'm really excited to continue working alongside you, Zach, and Very, so that we can continue to innovate and see how we can work together to reimagine the way that we do collaborative co-working. Again, thank you so much for joining us on Collaborative Co-working Reimagined. My name is Phillip Hernandez, VP Operations here at Geekdom. If you'd like to learn more about what we're doing in response to COVID, please reach out to us, info@geekdom.com.
Hi, my name is Zach Fullen. I'm with Very, and if you would like to learn more about Very and how we're responding to COVID ourselves, reach out to us at very.com, and we would even love to meet you, of course socially distanced, at one of our showrooms here in Central Texas.